My name is Camila. I am 31 years old. I live in San Diego, a big coastal city in the United States. I work as a florist in a small flower shop near the beach. My life is quiet. I open the shop every morning. I arrange flowers. I help customers. In the evening, I go home to my small apartment. I drink tea, read books, and sometimes walk near the sea. I have one close friend. Her name is Emma. She lives near me. We meet often and talk about life. I was not looking for love. After a few bad relationships, I told myself I would stay alone for a while. I didn't want more pain. I wanted peace. But sometimes love comes when you are not ready. That is what happened to me. His name was Robert. He came into my flower shop on a Monday afternoon. He wanted a bouquet for his office. He was polite and calm. He had soft eyes and a warm smile. He asked me about flowers. I told him which ones were fresh. He listened to me. He didn't rush. Most people are in a hurry, but he was different. Before he left, he smiled and said, "Thank you, Camila. You made my day better." The next week, he came again. This time, he bought flowers for his daughter's school play. We talked again. He asked if I liked working with flowers. I told him I did. He asked if I grew up in San Diego. I said yes. I liked that he asked questions. He seemed to care about the answers. He came often after that, sometimes once a week, sometimes twice. We started to talk more. He told me about his job. He worked in a small office downtown. He said his life was busy and a bit lonely. I told him about my flower shop and my friend Emma. We laughed sometimes. Our talks felt easy. After a while, he stayed longer each time. One evening, he came right before closing. He helped me carry boxes. He stayed while I cleaned the floor. I made tea, and we sat in the back room. It felt warm and quiet. He told me, "This place feels like home." I smiled. I didn't know what to say. But inside, I felt something, a small light in my chest. I started to wait for his visits. Robert was kind. He remembered my favorite flowers. He brought me coffee on cold mornings. He made jokes when I felt tired. He even helped me once when my car would not start. I felt safe with him. I began to care about him. Maybe I was falling for him. I didn't want to, but I was. After 2 months, he asked if I wanted to have dinner. I said yes. We met at a small restaurant near the beach. It was a nice evening. We talked for hours. I felt happy. I had not felt that way in a long time. At the end of the night, he walked me to my car. He held my hand for a moment. My heart felt warm. We started seeing each other more, sometimes after work, sometimes on weekends. We didn't tell anyone. It felt like a quiet secret. I didn't mind. I liked the time we spent together. It felt real and soft, like a dream I didn't want to end. But then one day, everything changed. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was helping Robert clean his car. His phone rang. He walked away to take the call. I didn't mean to look, but the screen lit up. It said, "Call from Laura. Wife." My heart dropped. I stood still. I felt cold all over. Wife? I did not know he was married. When he came back, I didn't say anything. I waited. I needed to hear the truth from him. That evening we sat on a bench near the sea. The sky was pink and the air was cool. I looked at him and asked, "Are you married?" He looked down. He didn't speak right away. Then he said, "Yes, I am." I felt like the world stopped. I could hear the waves, but everything else was quiet. My chest hurt. "I didn't want to lie," he said. "But I didn't know how to tell you. My marriage is not good. We live in the same house, but it's not love. I stay for my children. They are still young." I didn't know what to say. I stood up and walked away. My heart was beating fast. I felt like crying. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind was full of questions. Why didn't he tell me? Was any of it real? But I also remembered his smile, his kindness, his words. I was angry, but I missed him too. I was confused. The next morning he sent me a message. "I'm sorry. I miss you." I didn't reply. Emma came to visit me that day. I told her everything. She looked sad and held my hand. "You need to think about yourself," she said. "You need to ask if this is what you really want." For many days, I didn't see Robert, but I thought about him all the time. I cried alone. I looked at my phone. I waited. And after a week, he came to the shop again. "I still care about you," he said. "I know this is wrong, but I don't want to lose you." We talked. I told him I was hurt. I told him I felt like a fool. He didn't argue. He said, "I understand." And then I made a choice. I stayed. I know what you may think. You may think I made a mistake, that I should have walked away. Maybe you are right. But at that time, I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe he would leave his wife one day. I told myself that maybe I could be more, not just the other woman, but the one he would choose in the end. We started seeing each other again, but it was all in secret. He came to my apartment once or twice a month. He never stayed too long. We never went out together. We never took pictures. I told no one. Only Emma knew. She didn't judge me, but I could see the worry in her eyes. At first, I felt happy. He brought me flowers. He made dinner. We laughed. We watched movies. I told myself that love was enough, that even if I had to wait, it would be worth it. But slowly, things began to change. I waited more. I smiled less. I stayed home alone while he went back to his family. I stopped reading. I stopped walking by the sea. I started to forget who I was before him. Days turned into weeks. Robert still came to see me. Sometimes once a week. Sometimes less. When he was with me, I felt happy. He brought my favorite food. He played soft music. He kissed my forehead and called me beautiful. But when he left, I felt empty. The room felt too quiet. My heart felt heavy. He never talked much about his wife, but I knew he still lived with her. I knew he had 2 small children. Sometimes he showed me their photos. They looked happy. That made me feel strange. I wanted to be kind, but it also made me feel forgotten. I was not part of that world. I was only a secret. I didn't ask too many questions. I didn't want to make him upset. I told myself to wait. I told myself that maybe one day he would leave her. Maybe one day he would choose me. But as time went on, I stopped feeling sure. He always said the same thing. It's not the right time. The children are still small. She is not well. He had many reasons, but never a plan. I started to feel tired. I waited for his texts every morning. I stayed home in case he came by. I made my life small. I stopped going out with Emma. I stopped joining her on weekend walks. She asked me if I was okay. I always said yes. But I was not okay. I missed who I used to be. I used to laugh more. I used to feel free. Now I just waited for his messages, for his visits, for his love. One night I sat alone in my room. I looked at the flowers on my table. They were from him. I touched the petals. They were dry. I had not watered them. I had not cared for them, just like I had not cared for myself. I looked at my phone. No messages. I wanted to text him. I wanted to say, I miss you. But I didn't. Instead, I put on my coat and walked to the beach. It was cold. The wind touched my face. The sky was dark, but the moon was bright. I sat on a bench and listened to the waves. I thought about love. I thought about hope. I asked myself, is this real love? Or is it just a wish? That night I went home and cried. I cried into my pillow. I cried because I loved him. But I also cried because I felt lost. I was in love, but I felt lonely. I had someone, but he was never fully mine. The next morning, he sent a message. I miss you. Can I see you tonight? I said yes. I always said yes. He came to my apartment with a smile and a bottle of wine. He hugged me. He kissed me. He said, "You're all I think about." But I didn't smile like I used to. Do you ever think about us? I asked. He looked confused. What do you mean? I mean, what is this? What am I to you? He sat down. He didn't speak right away. Then he said, "You are important to me, Camila. You know that." "But am I just a secret?" I asked. He looked down. "It's not easy. I have children. They need me." I felt the tears in my eyes. I tried not to cry. "I know," I said, "but I need someone too. Someone who chooses me." He took my hand. "Please don't leave me," he said. "I love you." I looked at him. I wanted to believe him. I wanted those words to be true. Maybe they were, but love is not just words. Love is action. Love is truth. Love is light, not shadow. That night I didn't sleep. Again. In the morning I went to the flower shop early. I opened the door, turned on the lights, and sat behind the counter. I looked at the flowers around me. They were full of color, but I felt gray inside. Emma came to visit later that day. She brought coffee and a small cake. "You look tired," she said. "I am," I said. She sat with me in the back room. I told her everything. I told her how I felt. "I think I'm losing myself," I said. "I don't laugh. I don't smile. I don't feel like me." Emma looked at me kindly. "I'm your friend, Camila. I won't tell you what to do, but I want to ask you something. Do you feel loved? Do you feel safe? Do you feel seen?" I didn't answer. I just cried. "Love should not feel like this," she said. "Love should make you feel more alive, not less." I knew she was right, but I also knew it was hard. I had given so much of my heart to Robert. I didn't want to lose him, but I also didn't want to lose myself. That night, I didn't reply to his message. He sent another one. "Is everything okay?" I didn't answer. He called. I didn't pick up. For 3 days, I stayed quiet. I went to work. I walked by the sea. I drank tea. I tried to rest. On the 4th day, he came to the shop. He looked tired. His hair was messy. His eyes were sad. "Camila, please talk to me," he said. I looked at him. I wanted to run into his arms, but I stood still. "I need time," I said. "I need to think." "Think about what?" he asked. "About us. About me. About what I want." "Don't do this," he said. "We have something special." "I know," I said, "but I'm always waiting. I'm always second, and I don't want that anymore." He looked hurt. "I love you," he said. "I believe you," I said. "But that's not enough now." He reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "I need space," I said. "Please." He didn't fight. He didn't shout. He just looked at me for a long moment. Then he walked out of the shop. When the door closed, I sat on the floor and cried. I cried not because I was weak, but because I was strong enough to say what I needed. That night, I wrote in my notebook. I wrote about love. I wrote about pain. I wrote about hope. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew one thing. I wanted my life back. After Robert left the shop, I sat alone for a long time. The lights were still on. The flowers looked soft and bright, but I felt tired. I had not felt peace in many months. That day, I decided to take a break. I told my boss I needed time off. She understood. I packed a small bag and took the train to visit my aunt, who lived in Santa Barbara. The train ride was quiet. I watched the sea outside the window. I saw the waves. I saw birds flying. For the first time in a long time, I felt calm. My aunt lived in a small house near the hills. She made tea, cooked soup, and asked no hard questions. She just sat with me. At night, I slept without dreams. During the day, I read books and walked in the sun. One afternoon, I sat on a bench near a garden. A young couple walked past me. They were holding hands. They were smiling. I felt a soft pain in my heart. I wanted love too, but I wanted the right kind of love. I didn't want to be hidden. I didn't want to be someone's second choice. When I came back to San Diego, I felt a little stronger. I cleaned my apartment. I opened the windows. I bought fresh flowers. I sat in the sun and read my old journal. I saw how sad I had been. I saw how much I had given and how little I received in return. I started to see the truth more clearly. Robert still sent me messages. Sometimes he wrote, "I miss you." Other times, "Can we talk?" I didn't answer. I didn't block him, but I didn't reply either. I needed to be alone with my thoughts. I needed to find myself again. Emma was happy to see me. She hugged me tight. "You look better," she said. "I feel better," I told her. We went for coffee and talked about simple things. We laughed again. I had missed her. I had missed laughing. A few weeks later, I was walking by the bookstore near the beach. I saw a small sign in the window. It said, "Writing Group. New members welcome." I stood there for a moment. Then I went inside. The next Tuesday, I joined the group. We sat in a circle and shared short stories. The room was warm. The people were kind. I listened more than I spoke, but I liked it. It gave me something new to hold. That is where I met Adam. He was tall and quiet. He wrote about nature and travel. He spoke softly and always looked people in the eye. After one meeting, he walked beside me to the cafe. "You have a soft voice," he said, "but your words are strong." I smiled. "Thank you." We started talking after each meeting. Nothing serious, just friendly words, but I felt safe around him. He never asked too many questions. He never rushed me. One evening, we both stayed late after the group. We walked by the sea. The sky was dark and the stars were bright. I told him a little about my past. I was with someone who couldn't choose me, I said. It made me feel small. He didn't look shocked. He just nodded. I'm sorry, he said. No one should feel that way. That night, I went home and didn't cry. I didn't miss Robert. I didn't wait for a message. I just felt calm. Adam and I kept seeing each other. Slowly. No pressure. No secrets. We walked. We talked. He brought me tea when I felt sick. He helped me fix a broken chair. He made me laugh. He made me feel like myself. One Saturday, he came to the flower shop. He waited outside until I finished work. Then we walked to the park. Do you want to have dinner with me tonight? He asked. I said yes. That dinner was simple. We made pasta at my apartment. We talked about books. We played soft music. And when he left, he said, You're special, Camila. I'm happy I met you. His words stayed with me. They were not heavy. They were light and kind. Weeks turned into months. I saw Robert's name on my phone less and less. He stopped sending messages. I think he understood. There was nothing left to say. One Sunday morning, I cleaned my closet. In a small box, I found a photo. It was of me and Robert. We had taken it in secret. I looked at the picture for a moment. Then I put it in the trash. I did not cry. I felt ready to let go. Later that day, I walked to the beach with Adam. We sat on a bench and watched the water. Do you still think about him? He asked gently. Sometimes, I said. But not with pain. That's good, he said. I looked at him. You make me feel safe. He smiled. That's all I want. We didn't say more. We just sat there, side by side. It was quiet. It was real. It was honest. Looking back now, I don't hate Robert. I think he was lost, just like I was. But I learned something important. I learned that love is not real when it's hidden. Love is not kind when it hurts. Love is not true if it only comes in the dark. Real love feels safe. It feels free. It lets you grow. Now, I wake up and feel calm. I go to work with peace in my heart. I meet Emma for coffee. I write in my journal. I spend time with Adam. I smile more. I laugh often. I'm not waiting anymore. I'm living. If someone asked me today, was it worth it? I would say yes. Because through all the pain, I found myself again. And that is the greatest love of all. We all go through hard times, but stories like this can help us feel seen. Thank you for watching, and come back for more real moments. My name is Sophia. I am 30 years old. I live in a small, quiet town. People think my life is perfect. I have a kind husband. We live in a small but clean apartment. I have a job at the local supermarket. My neighbors often smile at me, but they don't know the truth. They don't know what I feel inside. Every day, I wake up with a heavy heart. Every night, I go to sleep with a quiet tear. 1 year ago, I made a mistake. I married a man named Daniel. He is 35 years old. Daniel is a very good man. He wakes up early and makes coffee for me. He brings flowers on Fridays. He writes kind notes and hides them in my lunch bag. He calls me my sunshine and kisses my forehead. He loves me, but I do not love him. I try to be kind to him. I say thank you. I smile when I should, but my heart feels empty. I married Daniel because I was heartbroken. Before him, I was with another man. His name was Mark. He was my first love. Mark left me one cold winter. He said he was not ready for love, but I loved him deeply. When he left, I felt lost. I cried for many weeks. I could not eat. I could not sleep. My heart felt broken. That was when Daniel came into my life. He was kind. He listened. He smiled often. He never asked too many questions. One evening he said, "Sophia, you are special. I want to make you happy." I was still sad, but I said yes. I said yes to dinner. I said yes to his help. And one day, I said yes to his marriage proposal. I thought, maybe love will come later. Maybe my heart will heal. Maybe he will make me happy. But I was wrong. Now, every day, I pretend. I pretend to be the woman he needs. But I know I am not. One evening, Daniel made my favorite dinner. He cooked pasta and garlic bread. He lit candles. He played soft music. He wore the blue shirt I liked. He looked at me and said, "You are my everything." I smiled, but inside, I felt cold. After dinner, he said, "Let's go for a walk." We walked to the park near our home. It was quiet. The sky was full of stars. We stopped under a big tree. It was the same place where he asked me to marry him. Daniel held my hand and said, "I still remember that day. You said yes. It was the best day of my life." I looked at him. He looked so happy, so full of love, and I felt so empty. I wanted to say the truth. I never loved you, but I stayed silent. That night, I could not sleep. I stared at the ceiling. My chest felt heavy. My eyes were tired from holding back tears. The next morning, I went to work. I smiled at customers. I scanned groceries. I made small talk. But I felt like I was not real, like I was acting in someone else's life, like I was living a story that was not mine. After work, I came home. Daniel greeted me with a kiss. He asked, "How was your day?" I said, "It was fine." and I smiled again. That evening, I talked to my best friend. Her name is Mia. We sat in a small cafe near the lake. She looked at me and said, "Sophia, you look tired. Is everything okay?" I took a deep breath. I looked down at my hands. Then I said, "I don't love him, Mia. I never did." Mia was quiet. Then she said, "Sophia, then why did you marry him?" "I was broken," I said. "Mark left me. I didn't want to be alone. Daniel was kind. I thought it would be enough." Mia touched my hand. "You deserve to be happy," she said. "And so does he." I nodded, but inside I felt more confused. Was it too late? Did I ruin both our lives? That weekend, Daniel planned something special. He bought 2 movie tickets. He said, "Let's go out tonight. I want to see you smile again." I didn't want to go, but I said yes. I always said yes. I wore a nice dress. I brushed my hair. I put on red lipstick. I looked beautiful on the outside, but inside, I felt nothing. At the movie theater, Daniel held my hand. He laughed during the film. He looked at me often. I tried to smile. After the movie, he said, "That was fun, right?" I said, "Yes." But I was not happy. That night we sat on the couch. He made tea for both of us. He put his arm around me and whispered, "I missed you, Sophia." I looked away. I could not answer. In my heart, I was screaming, "Please stop. Please let me go." But I stayed quiet again. The next morning, Daniel cooked breakfast. He made eggs and toast. He smiled and said, "Let's have a good day today." I looked at him. He was trying so hard, and I was breaking a little more each day. I went to the bedroom and closed the door. I sat on the bed and cried. I took my journal and wrote, "I am living a life that doesn't belong to me. Daniel is a good man, but I am not the right wife for him. Every time I smile, it's a lie." I closed the journal. I looked in the mirror. I saw a tired face, a sad woman, a woman full of guilt. That night I stood by the window. I looked at the street. Children were laughing. A dog was running. The sun was setting. The world was alive. But I felt stuck. I felt frozen in a place I didn't want to be. Then Daniel walked in. He held a small box in his hand. He said, "I have a surprise." He gave me the box. Inside was a necklace with a small gold heart. He said, "This is my heart. It's yours." I wanted to cry, but I smiled and said, "Thank you." I put the necklace on the table. Later that night, I sat alone in the dark. I whispered to myself, "I cannot live like this forever." Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. The next morning, Daniel was in the kitchen early. He made pancakes and coffee. When I walked in, he smiled and said, "Good morning, my love." I smiled back, but it was small, weak. I sat down at the table. He placed a plate in front of me and poured the coffee gently. His every move was kind, thoughtful, and that made it harder. I didn't want to hurt him, but I couldn't keep pretending. That afternoon, I called Mia again. "Mia, I feel stuck," I said quietly. "Every morning I want to leave. Every night, I stop myself." Mia didn't speak for a few seconds. Then she said, "Sophia, sometimes love doesn't come later. Sometimes it never comes. And that's okay. But you can't live in a lie." I knew she was right. But saying the truth to Daniel, that scared me more than anything. Later that week, Daniel came home with a soft look in his eyes. He sat beside me on the sofa and held my hand. "Sophia," he said, "can I ask you something?" I turned to him, nervous. "Yes?" He looked down, then back at me. "Do you want to have a baby?" My heart stopped for a moment. He continued, "I think maybe it will bring us closer. Maybe it will help us grow together." I didn't know what to say. A baby? With a man I didn't love? I looked away. My throat felt dry. "I'm not ready," I whispered. He nodded slowly. "Okay," he said softly. "I understand." But I could see the pain in his eyes. He was hoping, still hoping, and I had nothing to give. That night, I wrote again in my journal, "A child won't fix this. It will only bring more sadness. I feel like I'm drowning in kindness. Daniel deserves love. I can't give it." The next few days were quiet. I spoke less. I moved slower. I felt like I was walking through heavy water. One Sunday evening, I packed a small bag. I folded a few clothes. I took my toothbrush, my phone charger, and my journal. Daniel was asleep in the bedroom. I stood at the front door, holding the bag. My hands were shaking. I looked back at him one last time. He was lying on the bed, peaceful, breathing softly. I couldn't do it. I put the bag down. I sat on the floor. I cried into my hands. I didn't want to hurt him, but I couldn't keep hurting myself either. The next morning, I tried to act normal. I got dressed. I went to work. I helped customers at the supermarket. I smiled at an old woman buying bread. I carried a heavy box for my manager. But inside, I was a storm. That evening, Daniel brought home a DVD. "Let's watch a movie tonight," he said. "Just us." I nodded. I didn't want to say no. We sat on the couch. He laughed during the funny parts. He kept looking at me, waiting for a smile. I tried, but it didn't feel real. After the movie, he held my hand. "I missed this," he said. Just being close to you. I didn't answer. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the quiet sounds of the apartment. The fridge humming, a clock ticking, Daniel's soft breathing. The next day, I met Mia at the cafe near the lake. The sky was gray. The wind was cold. You don't look well, Mia said. You look tired. I nodded. I feel like I'm in a small box with no door, I said. I want to leave, but I'm scared. Everyone will say I'm selfish. They'll say I hurt a good man. Mia leaned closer. Sophia, no one can live your life. If you're not happy, that is the truth. And Daniel deserves the truth too. Her words stayed with me. That night, I made tea for both of us. I placed the cups on the table. My hands were shaking. I sat down beside Daniel and looked at him. I need to tell you something, I said. He looked at me. His eyes were calm, but I could see worry behind them. Okay. I took a deep breath. Daniel, I care about you. You are kind. You are good. But I don't love you. I never did. He didn't say anything. I kept going. I married you because I was hurting. I thought love would come later. But it didn't. Daniel looked down at his hands. Then softly he said, I knew. I looked at him, surprised. You did? I saw it in your eyes, Sophia, he said. I just didn't want to believe it. Tears filled my eyes. I'm so sorry, I whispered. I never wanted to hurt you. Daniel nodded slowly. I love you. I really do. But I can't be the only one trying. If your heart isn't here, I can't hold you back. His words broke something inside me. He was still gentle, even in pain, even after hearing the truth. We sat in silence for a long time. No shouting, no anger, just sadness. A soft, quiet sadness that filled the room like smoke. That night, I slept on the couch. I stared at the wall, thinking, I told the truth? I finally told the truth. The next few days were strange. We still lived in the same apartment, but we barely spoke. I stayed in the small guest room. Daniel slept alone in our bedroom. In the mornings, he still made coffee. He still left a cup for me on the table. But now, there were no little notes, no flowers, no smiles, only silence. I went to work and tried to stay busy. I helped customers. I restocked shelves. I smiled when needed. But inside, I was always thinking. One afternoon, Mia came to see me. She gave me a long hug. How are you doing? She asked. I'm okay, I said. It's hard, but I feel more honest now. Mia smiled. That's a good start. What will you do next? I looked down. I think I need to leave, I said quietly. It's time. That evening, I sat down with Daniel. I think I should move out, I said. He nodded. He didn't look surprised. Do you have somewhere to go? Yes, I said. Mia offered me her guest room. Daniel looked at me for a moment. Then he said, I'm not angry. I'm just sad. But maybe this is the right thing. I felt tears in my eyes. You've always been good to me, I said. I never deserved you. He gave a small smile. I don't regret loving you, Sophia, even if it ends like this. His words stayed with me all night. The next morning, I started packing. I didn't take much, just some clothes, my journal, and a few books. The apartment felt heavy with memories, even though we had only lived there 1 year. Daniel helped carry my bag to the door. He looked at me one last time. Take care, Sophia, he said. Thank you, I said, for everything. Then I walked out. Mia was waiting in her car. She opened the door and smiled. Let's go. I got in. We drove away. I didn't look back. At Mia's apartment, I sat in the small guest room and cried. Not because I missed Daniel, but because everything felt heavy, sad, quiet, and also just a little lighter. For the first time, I had told the truth. I had taken a step forward. The days at Mia's place passed slowly. I woke up early, helped her cook, washed dishes, and sometimes sat quietly by the window. She never forced me to talk. She just let me be. Sometimes we watched movies together. Sometimes we ate ice cream on the sofa. And sometimes I just sat alone in the guest room thinking. I felt many things at once: sadness, guilt, fear, but also peace. I had done something hard. I had told the truth. And even though my heart still felt heavy, it also felt honest. I started going for long walks near the lake. The fresh air helped me think. I watched people walking dogs, riding bikes, drinking coffee on benches. Life was moving. Slowly, I started to feel like I could move too. One day, I walked into a small cafe and saw a flyer on the wall. It said, Creative Writing Class. Every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Come and write your story. Something inside me whispered, try this. I signed up. The class was small, only 8 people. The teacher was a kind older woman named Mrs. Blake. She smiled often and said, your story matters, even if you whisper it. The first time I wrote, I felt nervous. My hands shook. I didn't know what to say, but slowly the words came. I wrote about my feelings, my past, my mistakes, and my quiet hopes. One night after class, I sat in my room with my notebook and wrote, I lost love before I even found it. But now, I am finding myself. That sentence made me smile. A few weeks later, I got a message from Daniel. My phone buzzed while I was reading by the window. His name made my heart pause. The message said, Hi, Sophia. I hope you're doing okay. I've started a cooking class. It helps me stay busy. No pressure to reply. Just wanted you to know I'm doing fine. I read it 3 times. Then I replied, Hi, Daniel. Thank you for your message. I'm glad you're okay. I joined a writing class. It's helping me too. Wishing you peace and happiness. We didn't talk again, but it felt good to say goodbye in a kind way. A few months later, I found a small studio apartment not far from the supermarket. It wasn't big, but it was mine. I painted the walls light yellow. I put fresh flowers in a jar by the window. I hung a picture of the lake. Every morning, I made my own coffee. I sat by the window and watched the world outside. Sometimes I felt lonely, but I also felt free. I still thought about Daniel. I hoped he would find someone who truly loved him. He gave his heart fully. I hoped someone would give theirs to him in return. One day while cleaning, I found the necklace he gave me, the small gold heart. I held it in my hand for a long time. Then I wrote a short note. Thank you for your kindness. I couldn't wear it, but I will never forget it. I placed the necklace and note in a small box. The next time I visited Mia, I left the box with her. Can you give this back to him? I asked. She nodded. Of course. As the seasons changed, I changed too. I started smiling more. I laughed with the people in my writing class. I felt stronger when I spoke. I felt more like myself. One night, I looked in the mirror. I saw a woman with tired eyes but a soft smile. A woman who had been lost but was now walking her own path. I whispered to myself, it's not a perfect story, but it's mine. I still had quiet days when I felt unsure. But now, I listened to my heart. I didn't silence it. I didn't hide from it. I knew I had made a mistake when I married Daniel without love. But I also knew I had grown. I had learned something important. Never marry just to heal pain. Never lie to your heart. If someone out there feels like I did, tired, unsure, stuck in a life that doesn't feel real, I want to say this. You are not alone. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to start again. Be honest. Be brave. Your heart knows the truth. Thank you for listening to my story. It's not full of smiles or happy endings, but it is real. And sometimes, being real is the bravest thing we can be. If you liked my story, please like, comment, and share. More simple and emotional stories are coming soon.